Hey, good afternoon to you. Mark's out with HurricaneTrack.com here Friday now, December the 8th, 2023. Just want to make sure people are aware with everything going on in the world. Sometimes the weather can be sort of the last thing we think about until it's right on top of us, that we do have a pretty significant storm developing in the eastern United States that will have severe weather. I want to talk about that so you can know generally what to expect. There will be a wintry side to it, some heavy snow in some of the areas of New England, parts of the Appalachians, which is probably a good thing to see that snow because ski country, anywhere from North Carolina up into the Northeast, they could certainly use all the natural snow that they can get. And then this is going to have a pretty big wind component as well, and very heavy rain in some locations. So just a pretty big, impactful weather event going into the weekend. And then it's going to exit on Monday. And for New England and the Northeast as a whole, Monday is not going to be very pleasant. So just again, I know you're probably aware of it on social and elsewhere. You've got your own local and national weather sources. I'm just here to remind you because luck favors the prepared, right? Absolutely. So here's the setup. Doesn't look like much now, but we're just getting started with our energy down here in the southern part of the United States, the central part of the United States anyway. Rich moisture coming out of the very warm Gulf of Mexico. I'll show you an anomaly chart from that in just a minute. So the makings of all of this are generally there. And the one thing that is missing, though, we don't have a huge shot of very cold air and a very active jet stream dipping out of Canada. This is going to be a little bit different, but the end result is going to be that pretty much everywhere east of the Mississippi is going to get in on the action, and even some areas west of the Mississippi too, right? And it's going to be a big impact storm coming into the weekend when people are traveling. You got football games, soccer tournaments. I know I've got one for my son, a soccer tournament in the Charlotte area, and then we're going up to Raleigh to watch our local high school where my kids go, Hoggard, take on Weddington for the state championship. Yeah, it's a busy weekend. People travel, and the storm is coming, and it's going to have a lot of impacts. Weather Service, this is a great tool. A couple people have asked me lately about what app do you use for this or for that, or model data, wind data, radar data. One thing I like to always make sure people realize is that the National Weather Service is sort of tongue-in-cheek here, but one of the largest crowd-funded weather sites around. And it's done so, of course, through our tax dollars. So don't forget about it, right? Weather.gov, weather.gov. All you got to do is put in your zip code of wherever you're interested in, and you get a whole bunch of information at your fingertips. You can click on these maps, too. They're interactive. Let's click on Central North Carolina. There's Raleigh, just to give you an example. Big set of football games coming up for high school championships. The different conferences and the different regions. That's going to be this weekend. So, you click on Raleigh, and here's what you need to know from just a simple point-and-click forecast. But then there's these forecast discussions. I think these should be more prominent, in my opinion, because these are written by people. These are not AI-generated or templates. I mean, some of them have some templates to just help the forecaster along, but by and large, this is written by people, not machines, okay? And this gives you the information you need to know in a more technical fashion, just kind of like the hurricane forecast discussion that you get during hurricane season when you see the forecaster's name at the bottom in those discussions. Same thing here. Usually they put either initials, or some of these just say National Weather Service or MWS. I guess that's somebody's initials. Anyway, you get the idea. It's all right here. Take advantage of it wherever you're interested in. Don't forget about your friends at the National Weather Service. A great, free, air quotes there, right? Yeah, you pay for it through taxes, but it is a good source of information. And then there's radar, river, lakes, and rainfall, all kinds of stuff here. And you don't have to have an app. It's just right there, weather.gov, whatever you got. All right, then of course you've got the private sites. Private as in a private citizen, Dr. Levi Cowan here at Tropical Tidbits. And this is very helpful, too, to just kind of get the general idea of what is going to happen. If we just look at this over the coming days, and I just go through the right arrow keys on my keyboard, you see the storm take shape. The first low pressure area takes off here to the north and east through Wisconsin tomorrow. Warm sector down here will eventually get ripe enough for some severe weather. We'll look at that in just a moment from the Storm Prediction Center. But then later in the weekend, things really start to crank up. There is some upper level energy that does dig down. There's your trough right there. So there's some. It's just not really cold where you get this massive temperature gradient and temperature difference to help drive a more intense storm. So this is going to be more widespread, and it doesn't really intensify until it gets up into New England. I'll show you that as well as we move forward here. So this goes on to Sunday afternoon, us getting our 1 p.m. soccer game in Charlotte. That's going to be interesting. And then you see what happens. It really starts to amp up there as the low pressure develops off of the Virginia Delmarva region out into the Atlantic, or just hugging the coast. Sort of like a nor'easter, but not your traditional, more of a Miller B, if you know your winter storm tracks. And then it really cranks. Look at all these isobars in here. Let's just look at the northeast region. And these isobars, lines of equal pressure, packed in there pretty tight. We see that in hurricanes. Of course, they're so dense you can hardly see sometimes. Luckily not the case here, and luckily the pressure is not very low. But a pretty windy day, Sunday into Monday, for a good deal of eastern, southeastern New England, so just keep that in mind. This, of course, gets into the morning rush. A mess for sure for a good deal of the northeast, big cities from Philly, maybe even D.C. Should clear D.C. going back a little bit here before morning rush really gets going, but still a pretty messy time. Baltimore, all the way up into portions of New England. And those dark blues you see in there, that's pretty heavy snow and some very heavy rain, flooding. Could be some coastal flooding, trees possibly coming down. This is going to be a big event. It really is. Okay, so it's not your whopper of a nor'easter where you hear blizzard and, you know, huge epic snow amounts. Like hurricanes, hurricanes get the attention. Oh, there's a hurricane coming. That perks everybody's ears up. When you hear big nor'easter coming, there's a blizzard possible. You know, the headlines really help to grab the attention, but this could be pretty impactful, kind of like a tropical storm that's going to be impactful, but people say, oh, it's just a tropical storm. Just don't underestimate, you know, you see those oranges in there, and there's not too many reds, thank goodness, but that indicates very heavy rainfall over a period of time. The GFS, this is that model, by the way. We're looking at the GFS here. Probably should have said that at the top, but you can read it over there in the left-hand panel, the corner of the shot. But just take this seriously. That's all I'm trying to get the point across here. As we get into morning rush Monday, yuck. And then things improve and just get a little bit colder from there. All right, so let's just broaden the shot back out one more time, drop me out of the frame, and just show you what happens here. We scroll this through. The storm system comes in, so everybody from Florida all the way up into southeast Canada will get in on the action here. And then that storm really cranks up Sunday night into Monday morning. 975, it does deepen pretty quick. Northern New England, parts of extreme southeast Canada here, really could get some heavy snow. Those isobars packed in there, that looks pretty nasty overall and pretty cold behind it. But no major Arctic outbreaks anytime soon. It looks like the pattern will try to change after Christmas. We'll talk about that later. Real quick, the Gulf going to have an influence here as it does send in very warm, moist air coming out of this warmer than average Gulf of Mexico. The only areas that are below average are right up near the shelf waters as we call it, the Gulf, the Caribbean. Not trying to get into hurricane talk here. This is mainly just a lower 48 discussion. Big impact weather event, but yes, the warm waters do influence even our mid-latitude storm systems. And one of the things they help to do is to provide energy, and that helps to boost what we call CAPE. And if we look at today, there's a marginal risk of severe weather for parts of Arkansas and extreme southeast Texas, a little corner of Louisiana, southeast Oklahoma, parts of Missouri. Very low tornado threat, but it's not zero. No wind and hail to really speak of, 5% hail threat. But it is tomorrow that's got a lot of people talking, and they should be. The tornado threat, 5% over a pretty large area. Now, we never know for sure even with very powerful CAMS models, as we call these, the convectively allowing models, like the different versions of the WRF, the WRF, right, that we get when we look at high resolution, the NAM, and like the 3 kilometer and the HRRR. Those are your convectively allowing models, and a lot of these can be used to try to figure out supercells, where they're going to be, so forth. We don't know for sure, just like with hurricanes, in terms of direct impacts, where in that 2% or 5% area there might be a strong tornado, or any tornado for that matter. We just don't know. But the good news is the setup is not particularly favorable for violent long-track tornadoes, but that doesn't mean they can't happen. So tomorrow, Saturday, again, people are busy, shopping, busy lives, whatever the case may be, you need to be paying attention if you're in the green and the brown down here, all right? So make sure that phone is enabled for emergency alert messages, that you're checking whatever radar app, your local favorite weather person, somebody on Twitter, whatever the case may be, and just stay on top of it, all right? And the wind threat tomorrow does increase, more of a squall line setup probably, with individual supercells possible overall, and then the hail threat, it jumps up to about 10%, some of these thunderstorms, if they can get big enough in the atmosphere, tall enough, they could create some hail. But yeah, that's the threat tomorrow, and then as we get into Sunday, this mess moves eastward, and then the southeastern part of the country is in the line of fire, so to speak, and I would expect a part of this will get upgraded to a slight risk, probably tomorrow. So just keep all of this in mind as you slide through this busy weekend. We're all busy all the time, it seems. All right, you know who's been busy? This is a good way to segue into this. Some web designers over at our friends at QuickDam. I want to show you their new website. I've talked about these folks throughout the summer and now into the fall. Look at what happened in the Pacific Northwest with all that flooding. And I was thinking, man, if some of these people had these products right here, they are water activated. You're fighting water with water. But just kind of showing you that the QuickDam website has been redesigned, really slick. I like it. The where to buy, they're growing. I like being part of a growing company, a partnership with them. Looking forward to doing much more in 2024. And they are international. You look at some of these logos, they stand out, including over in the Great Britain, UK, right? Yes, they are available, QuickDam products across the big pond. Look at that, the British pound. That's really cool to see. And I'm actually going to have a meeting, an online meeting with some of the folks behind this as we develop a strategy to promote QuickDam across the big pond over in the UK. But they are available, and it's a really important, helpful product, line of products, honestly. And we're hoping to do some really unique things with these folks next year. And they've redesigned their site. I will put a link to the QuickDam site for you just to, have it readily available. These actually do make good Christmas presents. I know that seems kind of not traditional, right? Why did you get me some flood mitigation stuff? But it could come in very, very handy if something happens, even if it's not Mother Nature. Everybody's got one of these, a drain in their house. So yeah, these do make, believe it or not, good Christmas presents. That's my opinion, right? Also, our calendar makes a good Christmas present. We do have the 2024 wall calendar. I've got a few dozen left. I'll put a link to this in the description as well. $20, and that includes shipping. So don't $20, come on. No, it's including the shipping. Shipping's about $2.25, something like that. And a brown envelope. Got a few going out today, right here. That's what I'll send it to you in. And you can scroll down, you can order right there where it says click here. I know it's not a big, beautiful buy now button, but try to keep it simple. I'm pretty proud of it. It's neat to go back and look at the different months. Each image, there's 12 images, obviously, represents an important milestone that we were accomplishing during that month. Some of these are historic. Look at that one with the Isuzu there, the yellow vehicle. That's all the way, way, way back. Coming up on 20 years now since we started that project, the Hurricane Landfall Project. That right there, that's Hurricane Ivan, Gulf Shores, Alabama. That's featured, well, you got to figure out what month that's featured in. We'll just let it be a surprise. You probably know, but that's what the calendar is for, all right? And it's a pretty neat project. I'm proud of it. We'll probably offer one every year. And I probably need to promote them like during hurricane season when we have more people watching, because this time of year, just not as much interest, which is understandable until you get one of these things coming like we've been talking about today. So just pay attention. That's all I'm asking. Trying to help you on your side here, keeping you aware of what's going on. Now, I hand it off to you. It's all up to you now. So if you're in the eastern U.S. and this is headed your way, be ready. And you know, whatever you need to do to stay on top of it, that's the bottom line. So I will be back Monday for our Monday discussion. We'll look ahead towards Christmas, maybe a pattern change. We'll talk about some tropical stuff as more and more climate models coming out suggesting a big 2024. We're not there yet, but we do get these puzzle pieces early, and we'll try to see how they might start to fit together. All right, let me wrap this up, get it online for you. As always, thanks for tuning in and giving me a part of your day. I'm Mark Sudduth from all of us at HurricaneTrack. Have a great and safe weekend. I'll talk to you again on Monday.